Test. Test. Recording start. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Carmentary, the new show I do here on my YouTube channel where I chat about something in my car, and I'm alternating between English and Japanese. So last episode was Japanese, this episode is going to be English, and as you can see, I'm in my car. But it's funny, I'm not going anywhere. Yes, right now it's like 11:20 at night, and I just kind of had this urgent email that had a lot of questions, and I decided this is a great topic to talk about, and it happens to be about cars. So perfect opportunity to sit in my car and talk about this. I'm not going to even put my seatbelt on because we're not going anywhere, folks. I'm just sitting in front of my house. I got a light in here, and I'm talking to myself in the car. Great. Okay. I got an email from someone, a German American, planning to come to Hokkaido. I'll read you this. Hi, my name is blah, blah, blah. I'm 100% sure I'm going to be a ski bum in Japan next season. I've pretty much settled on Hokkaido and have done a lot of research about buying and owning a van in Japan and importing it after. So I guess taking it back home, that means. As a German American, I can get a holiday work visa, so I have the possibility of doing a little side work as well. I'm writing because I'm curious about the logistics of living a full ski season in a van in Hokkaido, especially as someone with beginner Japanese skills. Would you be able to take a moment to share your thoughts, advice? I've included some questions below that I'm hoping you might be able to help me with. Perfect. Lodging. These are the questions. Super expensive if I don't go the van route. So that's not a question, that's a statement here. Any suggestions on cheap hostel lodging in Hokkaido? Okay, that's the first question. So, well, for a ski bum, I guess anything that costs more than $5 a night is probably going to be considered expensive. I don't know, what you would consider expensive or cheap. There are cheap places to stay, and there is always a way somehow to find a cheap place. I think you need to start Googling more. Everything in the Hokkaido, or at least everything in the Niseko area, everything is English now. You will be able to find English and information, and everyone there is foreign now. So you'll be able to find something. I believe there is cheap lodging. There are apartments that you can rent. The Niseko area, there's probably a limited amount. You definitely want to work in advance, but I'm sure you can find something that fits your budget. I don't know, though. Maybe, anyway, I'm going to come back to this question later. Next one. Is it possible to rent on a monthly basis? I imagine I would make friends in the first few weeks with whom to share. Are there any Facebook Craigslist message boards established for this sort of thing? So I guess we're still talking about like renting, not a van, but like an apartment or something. I believe there is a Craigslist for Sapporo. You might want to check on that. Or maybe it's for Hokkaido. I don't know how much info is out there. I think it's pretty limited. There's a lot of units on Airbnb. This is one way to find a place. Some allow long-term rentals. I know there's a ton of Airbnb units in the Niseko area. That's a great place to start. There's a Facebook group of people who sell things in the Niseko area. I think it's called Niseko Items for Sale. It's on Facebook. You can join the group, and that's a place that has a lot of local people trying to sell stuff. Would be one place to reach out to people and try to find a place to live. Okay, that's it for the lodging. Next questions. Van living. Have you or anyone you know purchased off of Yahoo Auctions? No. I don't know anybody who's bought a van. I know people have used Yahoo Auctions. It's super common. And yeah, Yahoo Auctions works fine. I don't know anyone personally who has bought a van off of Yahoo Auctions. However, I sold a camper about 4 or 5 years ago, my own personal camper, by auctioning it off through my YouTube channel. So I was able to sell it that way. I never had to use Yahoo Auctions. What was the experience? What was their experience? Well, as I said, I don't know anyone. Any suggestion on finding people to buy a van directly from? Not right now. No, I don't know anyone selling a van or a camper. I believe the name is still Black Diamond Rentals or Black Diamond Cars in Niseko is a company that I know who deals in selling and renting vans. Some of them are camper kind of converted vans as well in the Niseko area. You might want to try that. There are other companies, and there are a lot of car auctions and things in Japan. People tend to take care of their stuff and their cars quite well, although aging camper vans and aging vans will always come with some mechanical problems. You need to be prepared for that. Do not expect to get a perfect camper van off of an auction if it's like 15 or 20 years old. You're going to have some problems with it. Is there a large group of Car Danchi folks in Hokkaido? Yes. As the person who came up with the name and started the whole name of the Car Danchi thing, I kind of look back now and see how it's grown. There's definitely a large community of people, and in the winter a large influx come in from around the world and other parts of Japan. They come up on the ferries in their cars, and in Niseko and many other areas you'll go and you'll see people camped out and parking. Obviously it's much bigger in the summer when it's nice and warm and it's easier to do, so there's way more campers and people camping in vans and cars in the summer. But in the winter there is a die-hard crowd who does, and some people even spend the entire season. I know specifically of some in Niseko because I see their vans camped out in the same parking lot the entire season. So there are people who do it. I don't know if you would call that a huge number of people, but there are quite a few. I'm a little worried about making friends if I don't stay in a hostel. That's a good point. If you stay in your van and you travel around in your van by yourself and you don't speak Japanese, you're probably not going to make a lot of friends. You'll still have a great time snowboarding, and you will meet people on the gondola and at the resorts, and you can have conversation. And I'm not saying you're not going to go home totally friendless. You'll make some friends, but it would be easier if you started off your trip by staying maybe in a hostel or staying in a hotel or an apartment near a ski resort. You can go to the bars, you can go skiing and meet people and make friends and take it from there. That's definitely going to get you more friends. How hard is it to keep the van warm? First of all, I would suggest you try sleeping or camping out in a car or a van wherever you live now, in the summer, in the fall, and maybe in the winter when it gets cold, before you come to Japan and Hokkaido and try to do it. It's freezing cold over here. This Hokkaido, it sounds all nice and all, but it's basically Siberia. We are an island that broke off from Siberia. It's freezing cold over here. It's not like European Alps cold, where you have, kind of warm in the valleys and very high up at high elevations. The elevation is low here, but it is very, very cold. So the only way to get the van warm is by turning on the engine and driving around so that it heats up. Or you have a camper van with some kind of a heater system built into it that allows you to keep it warm. I've never had the luxury of having that. I've always, even the camper I owned, I didn't have a heater. Well, it had a heater, but it was broken, and I never worried about it. Camper vans are a bit insulated, so that's nicer, but you will be freezing, it will be freezing cold inside when you wake up in the morning. Let's put it that way. You can put, insulation on the windows, curtains. There's all kinds of different techniques and things people do to keep it as warm as possible, but it's going to be cold in there. You have to have a super warm sleeping bag. You do not want to leave the car idling at night. That's a death wish. Don't do that. So either get used to sleeping in a very warm sleeping bag that keeps you warm, but waking up cold, or get something that has a heating system, but then be prepared to pay the money that it requires to keep that heating system running. Okay? Any other bits of advice? P.S. If you receive these questions at the time because of Car Danchi, you've already point me to that resource. Yeah. The name, I think this is a girl, but I don't want to say the name, and I don't want to fuck it up. But yeah, if you've already answered these questions somewhere, please point me to that resource. Well, I hadn't. I've never done anything like this, but this was a really good opportunity to answer these questions, because I do get them quite a bit from being the person who is sort of the image character or the symbol of the Car Danchi, or van life, if you will, of Japan. And over the years, I've gotten all kinds of questions. There are many rental camping car companies now. You can look online, and there's quite a few that have English websites. You can actually rent campers in Hokkaido or in Japan, drive them around, rent them for a few days or a few weeks or a month, whatever. Mind you, it's going to be quite expensive unless you share it with a bunch of people, or you really search around and find a real bargain. But the camping car rentals are not super cheap. I know a guy who came over from Quebec in Canada quite a few years ago. He was one of the very early people to come from overseas and try the Car Danchi lifestyle. He rented a van with just a flat bed space in the back of it from Black Diamond in Niseko, and he drove all over the island, spent like over a month camping out with his girlfriend. They were fine. They were very tough Quebecian types, and he loved it, had a great time, and it was a much more affordable way to go. But you're still looking at like a minimum of like 7,000 yen a day rental. Most rental vans go for like 9,000 yen a day or more, and then campers, it's up from there, because obviously they come with a full kitchen and a bed and all this nice stuff. So if you're looking for the super bargain, rental is not going to happen. Now, if you want to buy a van, I don't know, you could find, like, if you look on Yahoo Auctions, you could probably find like a super cheap piece of crap van, a beater, for maybe $1,000 or something. I don't know. I mean, it could be possible, but pretty much anything that's like a van that can carry stuff around, those cars have quite a bit of value in Japan. You're looking at like maybe minimum sanjuman, which equals like $3,000 and up. All the vans that I've bought over the years, I've bought Mitsubishi Delica vans from day one, and they've all been about like $6,000 each. That's what I paid. And then over the 2 to 5 years that I owned and ran them, I've put at least that much money back into them, because they break down with brakes and transmission problems and whatever. So I don't know. I have no idea what your budget is and what you're planning to spend. But if you want to get a decent van and use it for the whole season and live out of it, I would expect that you would have to pay like that kind of money. So yeah, that's about it. I think any other advice, I'd have to say living an entire season in a van in Hokkaido, I find that kind of I don't know, man. I don't think that's really feasible. I think Hokkaido, like, you have the hot springs. You can go to hot springs, get really warm. There's restaurants and good cheap food to eat all over the place if you know how to go and read some of the menus. So you can eat cheap, you can go to the hot springs, get warm. There's places to park and sleep. There's like free public heated toilets. There's all these great things that definitely make it suitable for living out of your van and camping. But an entire season is like, ooh, yeah, sure, it can be done if you're pretty hardcore. But I think you're gonna want to have some places where you can get inside for more than like an hour. Like sitting in a cafe for like an hour or a restaurant for like 30 minutes might not hack it after the first month. I don't know. I think it would be good if it's your first time to come to Japan to try and find a place, like you say, a hostel or a place, an apartment to rent, and get a nice solid base, learn a little bit of the language, make some friends, ski a lot, really figure out what you want to do, get a sense of the scale of the island. I think a lot of people look at Hokkaido on the map and go, oh, there's this little island. I'm from Europe, I drive all over. And you're like, you think it's kind of small, but it's a big island. The roads, there's some good roads, but in the winter, all the roads are bad roads. So it takes a lot longer than you think to get places and to move around. So I would recommend taking your time. And this is not just for the person who sent me the email, but again, I'm making this video for anybody who is interested in coming to Japan and Hokkaido to try the van lifestyle and travel around a bit. First, come get your feet wet. And it makes sense. Maybe you meet some locals and maybe you get friendly with them and you're like, hey, you got a van? And they're like, oh yeah, actually my brother has a van he wants to get rid of and he wants to give it away like free. I had a van. I had a white Nissan Caravan van, and every 2 years here in Japan there's a test that all the cars have to pass and we have to pay a bunch of taxes. It's called shaken. You cannot avoid it. And the shaken was coming up on my van, and I knew there was some stuff wrong with it, and I did not want to spend the money to pass the test. So I gave my van away free to a friend. So that's the kind of thing that happens. And if you're in the right place at the right time with the right friends, you might end up with a free van, and then you can deck it out however you like, and you can travel around the island and have a really good experience. So, see? That's what I think you should do. I think you should come to like Niseko or Furano or maybe in Hakuba down on the main island and find a place to work a little bit for a month, meet some people, and just tell everybody you meet, I need a van. Hey man, I need a van. Don't forget to get an international driving license. Make sure that your country and Japan have an agreement that allows you to just bring an international license and drive. Make sure you have some good insurance. I know I've seen situations where people come over and have accidents, not just in the car, but on the hill, maybe skiing accident, didn't have the right insurance, and not a good situation. So make sure you got your license, insurance. Other than that, you're cool. Japanese people are great. They're super friendly. A lot of people speak English. I don't think you're going to have a hard time. I hope that answers some questions. So, it's kind of a serious episode for Carmentary, but this is good. I'm glad I got these questions. Hey, if anybody else has any questions about Car Danchi, Japan, Hokkaido, whatever, send me an email or send me some message on Facebook or comments on YouTube, whatever. I'll find it and I will answer it here on Carmentary. This is a good way to do this, actually. I like it. Sorry we didn't get to drive anywhere. I know the scenery was pretty boring. Maybe I can superimpose something in the background. All right, until next time. Thanks. And thanks for the emails and the questions. Peace.